Okay, so funny story. I saw a coffee maker listed on Buy Nothing, and it had broken, and the woman was giving away the parts in hope that somebody else could use them. And I reached out to her and offered to fix her coffee maker. And that's coffee maker's been repaired. It's in one of my other videos. It's been repaired and returned. But someone saw that video and chimed in and said, "Hey, I have a espresso machine that doesn't work. Would you be willing to look at that?" And I said, "Oh, okay." And that's what you see in front of you. So I haven't opened it up. We'll do this together and kind of see what it looks like. My understanding is it just doesn't work. And I've already forewarned her that in the process of looking at this, it may get more broken than it started out. It is black. Doesn't have a name on it. There we go. All right. It's a Capresso 112 coffee maker, made in Portugal. And judging from this, it's an espresso machine, and I think, to be fair, I think she said that. So, I've never worked on an espresso machine, so this will be a learning experience. I'm going to kind of sit back and look at this for a while, and that doesn't make much fun to watch, so I'll be back. Okay, I've taken this espresso machine I just received, and I added some water to it, and I put it together as best I could. I looked at the instructions, which is uncharacteristic for me, but I wanted to see what the little knobs did and what they meant. So for anybody who doesn't have them, that picture is worth 1,000 words. I'm going to use that to kind of guide me when I try to heat the machine up. So I'm going to try to do the simplest thing this machine can do, and that's make some hot water. In the process, I'm going to keep track of how much electricity that it's using, because that tells us if the machine's coming on and how, whether the elements are coming on and such. So I just plugged this into a little device. It's called a kilowatt. It happens to be a brand of electricity meter that's going to tell me how many watts this device uses when I turn it on. So if it tells me none, that'll tell me something. And if it tells me 1,200 watts, it'll tell me something else. So the switch up here, set to water. Better yet, I'm going to set it to coffee, and I'm just going to turn the unit on, and we'll see if it heats up. And yeah, we've got 1,121 watts, 1,122 watts coming on. So that tells me that the heater in this unit definitely works. It's definitely on. That's roughly the amount of electricity that a hairdryer would use. So we can say that a thermal fuse hasn't given out on this piece of equipment. That isn't the problem with it. I'm going to put this big giant hot cocoa cup under there because I want something to catch the water that comes out of here. And we're going to let it just heat for a minute or two. Maybe turn it to standby, which it is. And we're going to turn it to brew coffee. So the pump is working. We're trying to. Normally we'd have liquid by now. So apparently the pump isn't able to draw water for some reason. Next thing we're going to try is just heat the boiler. And I want to be careful with this because hot steam is going to come out of this pipe. And it appears as though there's a knob or something that goes on here that may be missing. But we're going to turn it on anyway and see what happens. Because that's always fun. And preparing for steam. There we go. go. So that should just be heating up the boiler and using 1100 watts, it's doing so. And okay, now it's down to nothing, so it must be hot, and the light has come on the front, which tells me it's ready. So let's see if it can pump water for water. And the answer is no. The pump uses 60 watts. Bottom line is one of the hoses in here is probably plugged, or the pump is broken. Makes a lot of noise but doesn't pump anything. So I'm gonna have to take it apart. See you in a little while. Okay, it took me a little while, but for anybody who's trying to get one of these apart or open so that you can see what's going on inside, they didn't make it very easy. There are 2 large screws, and I got those out with, looks like a number 10. Didn't need the safety tip on it, but it seemed to fit. In the screw okay. So there's 2 of those, and then on the back there are 2 smaller screws, and I needed an 8 for those, and it could have been a little bit tighter, but it worked. And then there was 1 screw located right here, and that's a little bear of a security screw. It was buried down in a little hole there, and to get that out I used, it's a 3.5 millimeter socket, and it doesn't fit exactly, but I pushed hard and turned, and that little guy came out. So once that was done, there are tabs located around the unit, and to get those tabs out, it's a matter of maybe twist this a little bit to one side to slip a screwdriver in, and then the screwdriver goes in and down and lifting this way and actually pulls. The tabs are right here, so you can see I'm pulling the tooth out of the tab, and there's 1, 2 on the front, and there are some pegs on the back that come out when it comes out this way. So that's what it takes to get it open. All right, looking inside, there's some kind of a little drain here, and that little drain, when this drain tray is in place, it normally will drain from the inside out to the drain tray, and I'm not sure what it's for. I'm not sure how this thing works. This is the water reservoir, so something takes water in from there and heats it, and something else creates pressure, and I'm not sure which is which, so I'm going to do a little more exploring here, and then I'll come back. I turned up, the heat is on, so we're going to have to be careful with this. But what I did was we preheated the machine, and we're going to insert this in here, and then we're going to turn it to to turn it to hot water, which will run the pump, and at the same time we're going to use this syringe, this rather large syringe. You can't see what I'm doing here. We're going to use this rather large syringe to pump water at the same time that the pump is running. So hopefully we'll prime the pump as it's possible. The pump has an airlock, and hopefully this will kind of force it through. So I'm going to stand it up now in here, and we should be able to, when the pump comes on, if the pump is pulling water, we should be able to see it pull water from this syringe. And if it does not pull water, we're going to push it. So it's not pulling, so we're pushing. There we go. So because I didn't have my tray in place, I'm blowing hot water all over the place, which is a bad thing, because the way this works is it relieves pressure from the boiler down into the tray until it reaches steam, enough pressure so it's creating steam and shooting it out top here. So I got a little bit out the top. I also lost a little bit on my towel, but it appears as if using this syringe to prime the pump was enough to get the pump working. I'm not sure what the purpose is of the return here. I'm going to fill that as well. Just so that there's water on both sides. Hopefully it doesn't come out all over everything. We'll see. Alright, so this time I not only primed here, but I also put a little bit of water in here. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to behave, but we're going to turn it on and find out. Oops. I'm going to do that after we put this in place. There we go. All right. So, power on. Water in place so it doesn't suck out the water, and I'm getting a nice stream of water there. It's off now, and the next thing we're going to try is, oops, the next thing we're going to try, whoop, the boiler lets down. So I stop producing steam. I need to empty the boiler. It does that by emptying the boiler into the pan, it appears. This, and I'm going to change the settings top to coffee and make me a coffee. Okay, well, turns out this espresso maker had a vapor lock in the pump, and as a result it wouldn't pump any water. And so I was able, after removing the bottom, I was able to use this syringe, and when the pump was calling for water I was able to prime it with this syringe and then reattach the hoses, and there's a little check valve that keeps it from draining again. So it should stay primed as long as it doesn't go an extremely long time without being used, and possible it could evaporate. It certainly shouldn't be stored where it's freezing. That could damage the hose or the pump or something like that. A lot of times when they ship these, if they ship them in places that freeze, they'll ship them with some sort of antifreeze in them, and you have to run it out before you actually use the machine. So when the pumps become dry, they will not restart by themselves. They're not self-priming. Now that we primed it though, we should run it. So we're going to turn it on. Now we will create espresso. I don't have it loaded with a shot, but I'm going to change the setting up top to espresso, and that's how it's supposed to behave. So I'm going to put the bottom back on the machine. I'll do a little reading to see if I can figure out how the steam portion is supposed to work, and see if I have all the parts here or not. But either way, I'll be being in touch to return this to you. Based on all the parts I have at hand, it's working as good as it's going to work, and I would call this fixed. So thanks for giving me a chance to keep it out of the landfill. And thanks for your efforts to do that as well. We appreciate it. Thank you.